into this really excited. I'm super pumped for this webinar. It's going to be really cool because and you'll hear us talk about this. The thing is with at Travefy, we get to talk to a bunch of agents all the time. We do surveys, we do these webinars, we hear so many different things, and fees is a really big part of that, where we definitely hear, all the different types of fees that people do, how they approach them, if they do them, if they don't, why not? We hear it all. And so that's why we were like, why don't we just put together everything we hear and create a presentation? So that's what this is. So it's really cool. I'm excited.
No, this is super fun because one of the areas that we'll have webinars, not even about fees, and end up talking about fees because it's top of mind for a lot of people for many, many different reasons that we'll get into. But what we've discovered is that just talking about fees is not enough. We actually need to kind of get into the weeds and get into the details and give really good concrete examples of how other agents, other advisors do fees. What do they charge? What are the different parameters or tips around that? And so that's what we're focusing on today. So I have to echo Stephanie, like I'm really excited for this. And this might just be one of the first that we do about it, because as we've dug into fees, and Stephanie did a ton of research reaching out to a lot of different advisors, we learned more and more interesting ideas and strategies that they have around fees. So it should be a really, really great discussion today.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be so good. So for that, should we dive in here? And also, I do want to say really quick, there's been someone ask about recordings. And again, that'll be at travefy.salesworkshop.live. So you'll find them there. And we'll post that too towards the end of here. But okay, are you ready, Scott?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Okay. Here we go. Get the water. Gotta soothe the throat so we have great talking voices. Okay, here we go. All right, Scott, take it away for us.
All right, so just to kick things off, a lot of times for our webinars, it's really helpful to take a step back and just evaluate, why are we even talking about this topic? Why? Because a lot of times we'll have people across the spectrum within the industry, from brand new agents or people that have just started training programs, they're not even selling yet, all the way into 30, 40-year veterans that they're sharpening their craft, sharpening their skills, thinking of different ideas to grow their business. And so we want to take a step back and just talk about why. What is the big deal with fees? Why bother? And so the first thing that I want to point out here is something that may be a little bit of a controversial statement, but I want to throw it out there. And so that's what this next statement is the value your fee communicates about you is more important than the revenue it provides. This is really important. Now, the money, we're a business, you're a business. The money, the revenue is really important, but the value that the fee communicates about you is extremely important. It's crucial. And so that's part of the reason that we're talking about this. And also going back, roll the clock back 2.5 years, if we've learned anything from the last few years with COVID, that building a revenue stream of non-refundable revenue, that's really important, really, really important for your business. It also allows you, and we'll point out later on in the webinar, how you can start to use your fees to help grow and scale your business, add in assistance and things like that that can help back you up and help you grow together as a team. So those are some of the important things. Now, beyond that, even looking at our, in the US, our national main industry lobby group and trade association, ASTA, they have formally started backing fees, not just from a casual sense, but that they are officially endorsing fees. And one of the key things here that Zane Kirby, the CEO and president of ASTA, says is that they want to further normalize it, that it becomes the expectation that fees are charged. Now, that doesn't mean that every advisor has to charge a fee, but the expectation, the status quo, is that fees are charged in that. And there are a lot of different ways to do fees, so you don't have to feel like you're backed into a corner, or that that ASTA or Travefy or other organizations are going to require you to charge fees. In fact, there are many different host agencies, and we've had some on this week, that actually don't want you to charge fees. That's part of their value proposition. We get that. You know your clients, you know the types of travel and the products you do, you know those best, but we support ASTA and agree with them is that the status quo should actually shift to the fact that we should be charging fees that way. Now, here are a couple leading questions, primers is what I would call them, to help you start thinking through whether you should be charging a fee or not. So it's not a binary like black and white, but here's some questions where if the answer to any of these questions is yes, might be something you want to think about. So firstly, do you have a serious problem with people wasting your time? Are you getting lots of calls? Are you doing lots of work and people are just wasting your time? Fees are a key tool, not the only silver bullet, but they are a key tool to help solve that problem. Secondly, do you invest a lot of time in non-commissionable work? So one of the things that you can think about is, are you doing highly specialized trips or certain types of specialties that require a lot of planning, a lot of work outside of just the booking elements? That's a key decision that you have to make around maybe fees really fit into your business model and what you offer. Thirdly, you're successful, you're established, and you want to heavily qualify new clients. I've chatted with a lot of advisors at conferences where they say, you know what, honestly, Scott, I have about a roster of like 90 to 150 families, clients that I've been working with, and I don't need more clients. They provide a ton of revenue. I don't need more. Yeah, if there are a couple good clients here or there, sure. If you fall into that bucket and that you want a way to heavily qualify clients, that's another great reason to use fees. Or maybe this is a side hustle, this is a part-time thing, and you just want to grab the best clients possible that are coming in from your leads, that you don't want to mess around with people that aren't serious about working with you. That's another reason to consider that. And then lastly, are you looking to increase revenue without taking on more clients? Again, a prime way to use fees to help do that. That you want to find ways to grow the business and grow your revenue without adding more and more clients and working even more and more and more, that you can incorporate fees to do that. Now, what is also really helpful is that sometimes fees can just feel like this very ambiguous topic, but it's really helpful to actually get down a level into the math of what can a fee structure do for the growth of your business. And so I've chatted with literally probably thousands and thousands of advisors over the last, 9 years of Travefy. I can't believe we've been here for 9 years. But I've been able to learn a lot from what they do. And so what I wanted to do is just give you a couple scenarios that might be really helpful. And to start off with, we have just an example of a typical month. So it's on average, maybe higher or lower than what you do. That's not the point. But then we'll go through an actual revenue equation of what that does for your business. So first off, let's imagine in your business, you book 7 trips a month on average. Might be higher, might be lower than that. Let's just assume 7. Healthy number to start with. Next, what we also want to factor in is that your average trip price is $6,500, total price tag. Might be more, might be less. Some trips might be more than that. Some might be significantly less. Doesn't matter. And that your average commission rate is 10%. Again, I know that might change per agency, per supplier, but that's just a good bar to estimate on. Now, what that means in the bottom line is that your monthly average commission check is $4,500. We're not factoring in splits and things like that with your host, if that pertains to you, but just top level math. So 7 trips a month, average ticket price $6,500, and average commission rate is 10%. That would mean about $4,500 in monthly commissions. Now let's take that a step further. Let's imagine that you do charge a fee. And on those 7 trips a month that you book, you charge $150 service fee or planning fee on that. What does that mean for your monthly revenue? That means an additional $1,050 in monthly revenue. On an annual basis, on the next level of that, that's over a $12,000 increase in revenue for you on an annual basis. You just gave yourself a 23% raise by charging a $150 fee. Now, do you have to charge $150? No, you could charge $100, you could charge $75, $50, you could charge $250. But the point is that this can be a really effective tool to help grow and scale your business. because I chat with a lot of advisors that they are busy and running around like nuts trying to help service and take care of their clients, and they want to hire an assistant. Well, this is a really great tool. That's $12,000 that can go towards hiring an assistant to assist you. And so the first step is starting to charge that fee along the way. So hopefully that math is really helpful, just to kind of lay it out in really basic numbers and basic terms to make you see how this can be useful for your business in that manner. So from here, we want to chat a little bit further on the next step of fees. And so Stephanie, I'll turn back to you.
Yes. And first of all, that's incredible. 23% increase is huge.
It's massive.
It's just, yeah, I love, again, I said at the beginning, I'm not very good at math, but then when you see it laid out, you're like, whoa, that's awesome. So really cool. But what I want to do though is, so I want to talk about two things. One, how do you introduce the fee? And I'm going to talk about this from actual real life examples from advisors, and then I also want to talk about like what does that fee look like, because that's probably the biggest question, is like what should I actually be doing? And there's many different options when it comes to fees. So again, we've chatted with actual agents, and we're going to share you what they do. So it's really cool. So usually, what we want to start off with here is just introducing, because a lot of times we hear just from doing webinars and having other panelists and speakers, is that the toughest part for advisors is that they don't want to be sales pitchy, and they want the fee to feel organic, just natural and told about in a very simple way. So this is one of the hardest parts to, is actually implementing that and telling it to your clients. So here are some examples from, again, real life examples of how to introduce that fee to potential either new clients or also existing ones as well. So the first example here is introducing the fee when scheduling your call. So a lot of times, you'll have your complimentary call, or, just to talk about here what they want. So here's actually an example from our good friends at Teak. Is before the call, they will actually include a PDF to send to the client when they're scheduling it. So that way, when the client can do their research before they talk to you, and it will highlight the fee structure. So that way the client knows when they're getting on that call, like if I'm the client and I know I'm going through with this, there will be a fee there. And then after the call, they will send that invoice for the fee with a recap, and then they begin the process. So they don't really begin that process until that fee is actually paid. So this is just a really easy way. And then this also gives you the opportunity to talk about it during that call if the client does have any questions as well. Which also kind of brings me into, talking about it during the call. This advisor, Carrie, has shared, and also thank you so much for the advisors who shared this and allowed us to share all of their inside secrets with everybody. But what Carrie does is when she receives a form, so she has a form that the client fills out and puts all the information of what they're looking for in their trip. So then she'll schedule that complimentary consultation and then explain the services during the call. But I really like this because I like how she says, I try to keep it as organic as possible because I hate the sales pitch, which I think we can all agree. We do not want that, and turn them away. So I just think that's really helpful. So that's a good opportunity for you to just be natural and tell it to them either face to face or on the phone in person, which is really great. And then this other example, I've seen this one a lot too, where this can be done, along with sharing the fee before or during a consultation, but it gives the client the opportunity to see it laid out in writing and confirm to your fee. So this form is actually built in Travefy, just a little shout out there, that what you can do is in your forms, when they're filling it out and they're ready to start planning a trip, maybe they do electronically sign, or they check a box that says, yes, I confirm to your fee. And like this example here, like $150 non-refundable fee will be required, blah, blah, blah. That way you just have it out in writing. And then it's there. So it's just another reminder for them, like, oh yeah, so they're not going to be surprised by any means or anything too. And I should mention also that this slideshow will be available for everybody to download. So you can really take some of this language and verbiage, which actually gets me into verbiage here. We definitely wanted to get some examples too of verbiage, because that also is the tough part, is like, how do I do this? Like, I'm asking for money. It's not easy, to do that. So we have a couple examples. So This one is basically, so this is from our good friend Erica at Book It Box Travel. So if you were on our session yesterday, she shared some of this with us. But what I love about this is in her PDF that she gives to the clients before the process and during the process of planning their trip. And one thing I really want to highlight is how she says our design fee is your insurance that will make that we will make authentic decisions based on our thorough research of getting to know you and your travel style. So I like that because that actually, like, if I were the client, I'd be like, oh yes, of course. Like, thank you. I do want that. Like, I'm paying you. So I hope that you are going to do the best.
Well, and that's super important. If you kind of look into what they're communicating in that, it's emphasizing value and benefits, not emphasizing fees. It's not,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I need to get paid for my time. It's that this is a part of the service, the value of the service that I'm providing you. And so that's also something when you start thinking about how you communicate that on the calls, like we were talking about in-person consultations via email, et cetera. Always be thinking about how you emphasize and communicate value and the benefits of your services. And that's why you charge a fee.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And so that's the cool thing. And that's actually just very similar to this example where Anna, she will basically spell out. So she'll literally have bullet points of here's what my fee includes, and get really detailed on this. Like, make it so many bullet points and say down to the things you wouldn't even think about that you were doing that they wouldn't get if they went and booked it themselves. Like, hey, you actually know the suppliers. Like, you can call that supplier and talk to them, where a traveler would be like, I don't even know who to call. And then same thing with like insurance, break it all down. And I love how she says, she's like, sometimes, or usually people will be like, that's a lot of value for that price. So I think that's really important. That's so easy to do. Just break it down, explaining, here is everything. This is why you are using me. So I love that example also. So now I want to talk about different types of fees. So this is probably the biggest one. The biggest part is, okay, this is how you can introduce, why you should do it, but there's so many different types of fees. It's kind of crazy. It's a really good problem to have though, because it gives you the flexibility to choose what works for you. So like I said before, we've had so much great insight into what other agents do from past webinars. We've done polls, surveys, and here's what we found. So first of all, I wanted to show this because there's a lot of different ways to call fees. So a lot of times, when we're asking agents like, oh, what do you do? They have a special name. And so you can craft that name to make it seem what makes more sense to you. So planning fee is one of the biggest ones. Obviously, there's like trip discovery fee, professional research and design fee. So there's a lot of different names that you can put this. And so some of these examples will be, service fee. This is probably one of the most common, and there might be different terms for this. But Anna shared hers with us, and basically her fee ranges from $75 to $200 per trip. And that kind of goes off of what Scott was showing with the math. That's actually kind of the same breakdown of, the average around that. And you can give yourself, 20% increase in your raise. I mean, it's just really cool. And she does have some different levels here, but generally it's going to be around 75 to 200. So pretty simple, not too crazy. I like this one too, because I wanted to put this example in here because what Mia does is if you focus on like groups or destination weddings, it's probably really nice to have that fee based off of how many people there are. So I know there's a lot of you on here who you do work with groups. So maybe this is what would make most sense is, so she has a whole table laid out here. And if she has over 36 people, it'll be quoted a little differently. So she'll figure that out. But that's thing. And this does say new client fee, but she did make a comment that, clients that booked with me before will still pay that fee. But then, some of them, and I love how some of them just tell her to keep it too, because they realize like how much the work she puts in, and it's incredible. It's cool.
For real.
See, I know it just goes to show like the clients aren't going to be like, what do you mean I have to pay you? Like they're like, oh yeah, sure. Of course. That's cool.
Well, set like to that point, set the bar. That's another strategy with the fees is that if you set the bar, the expectation is that you charge a fee, and then the client sees the value that you bring to it, they won't question it next time. They'll say, oh yeah, I mean, the trip was incredible. You did X, Y, and Z things. all within there. That absolutely. To give you an example, my wife and I, we hired an agent last fall, so a year ago, to do a wine trip. He charges a $250 planning fee because he does a lot of non-commissionable work, planning wine visits and things like that. And after the trip, I would more than pay $250 for his planning services because he nailed it. Every single stop along the way was fantastic. We loved the trip. We absolutely loved the trip. Shout out to Eric Sternberg. But no, it was fantastic.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Is that then your clients are like, "Well, yeah, I know why you're charging this because it's worth it." So really awesome. And actually, kind of going on that one too is the tiered fee. So this one is this is similar, I feel like, to a service fee, but there's just more details lined up. So this approach that Elizabeth takes is really putting her expertise and time spent planning up front. So she was actually on a webinar that we had a few months ago. So maybe this is kind of familiar to you, but she looks at her services as like, I am putting so much planning, I'm putting time in it. So I'm going to charge you based on my time. It's just like you would do for a lawyer, any other service, you know? And so that's why she really breaks it down here. And she did say, because I asked her, I was like, what would you say is your most popular? Because her fee can range from $150 to $750. And she said her most popular rate is the Kickstart, which is kind of right in between that with $350. And then a couple things that you can see it over here in this screenshot, but a couple things is it's a one-time 5-hour package. So she'll spend 5 hours on it. And then of course you're going to get more of a customized guide of things to do, eat. But I like this because this gives you the opportunity that like, hey, if you get someone who is going to be really quick and easy and they just want, you know, something really simple, then you do still have that option available. So it just gives you a range of knowing like, oh, this client's going to take a little more time because of what they want to do. Then you have that already set in stone of what that would look like. Another one, so you would have seen this yesterday if you were on the webinar, but Erica sent us, says she definitely has, you know, her business model is a little different where it's a very big product experience. So her design fee is just, it's a little more unique in the way, but it still is a really great example of, you know, how she charges. So it's just, it makes an experience in all reality of like, how cool is it? Like, I just need the vitamin C box. So, you know, what that is. And then she also does, you know, charge this before the planning actually even begins. And, but the client knows what they're getting. They're like, I know what I'm doing and where I'm going. So yeah, that's the fee that I want to go with.
Hey, real quick on that. If any of the attendees were not on the webinar yesterday, give a 20-second elevator pitch description of what Erica does, because then that explains why the price tag associated.
Yes, that's a good point. Yep. So what Erica does basically is she has, so it's called Book It Box Travel. And basically that's what she does is she crafts a box also for the clients. So there'll be like goodies in it based off of where they're traveling to. And some of them are a lot bigger. So, you know, like the vitamin C box, if it's just, you know, luxury or it's just a resort they're going to, then maybe they'll get like some fun snacks, maybe a towel that's monogrammed, or she likes to gift things basically. So that's a big difference. So yeah, I highly recommend because her experience is just really unique and pretty cool. So another one here. So this is plan to go deposit. So this one is a little different where basically, like what Samantha does is her fee will range anywhere from $100 to $300 based on it. But I do like how she mentions, she says your fee should be around half or 3/4 of the commission you would lose if the booking didn't travel, which I thought was a very interesting way to look at it. It makes sense that way. But we do want to mention though, if you're planning to do a plan to go fee, you really should talk, you know, with your host agency, your supplier on how to best handle those. I don't know.
Yeah.
What would you say, Scott?
Yeah, I want to chime in here and put a big asterisk disclaimer on screen here, because I've even seen a few questions come in on the chat. Now, if you are not familiar with fees, firstly, if you're new to the industry and you're not sure about any of the regulations about fees, I'm going to give you one kind of rule of thumb, but then two, a heavy, strong recommendation. Firstly, pretty much across the board in the industry, as an agent, as an advisor, you should not be charging money and holding on to that yourself that's going towards the travel product or travel booking. You can charge fees, professional fees, service fees, generally speaking, Different states have different laws, different rules. So I'm going to put a qualifier on that. But absolutely, you should not be collecting fees that then you're holding on to pay a supplier to. Plus, think about it this way. What happened during COVID? Because agents were doing that and they're the one left holding the bag instead of trying to get the refund from the supplier and stuff. So be really, really cautious about that. If you're new to the industry, you're not sure. Firstly, if you're with a hosted agency or with an agency, talk to your agency, talk to your host, help them educate you, help them communicate and educate you on any of their policies around fees. But then also keep in mind different suppliers in different states are different with all of this. So if you're fully independent, reach out to an attorney that specializes in travel law and have them help educate you. It's honestly a consultation fee worth paying to make sure you are protecting yourself with that. So I don't want to just breeze past this and lead anyone into thinking there's certain things that are no problem, and it's actually highly illegal in some states with that. So just wanted to mention that. Also want to give a shout out to Michelle Pate, who's attending. She's also been great in kind of chiming in the chat to remind of some of these things along the way. So, but just be really careful with that. Educate yourself along the way. Talk to your host, talk to your agency, talk to an attorney that specializes in travel law.
Mm-hmm. So very important as well there. And also I love this that a question just came in that was like, what do you suggest for a cancellation fee? Funny you should ask, because here we go. So this is another one that can be very popular. It's just a cancellation change fee. This is probably, I would assume, has gotten really popular after the pandemic as well, just because like, yikes, there's like, I just lost all this money. How can I protect myself in the future? So cancellation change fee, and I just realized I spelled cancellation wrong on there. Apologies. But oh geez,
The things you notice when you're live on air.
I know. Oh man, I do know how to spell it, I promise.
You could have just breezed past it and probably 80% of us wouldn't have even noticed.
True, I know. Now it's just sticking out like a sore thumb, but it's okay. At least it's spelled correctly below though. So we have it there is what Carrie does is she does $50 to $100 around cancellation fees. And then there's also a rebooking fee. So she has these different options available. But it should be noted as well that she does have a menu of different types of fees because she'll do anything, Disney will have its own fee, all-inclusive resorts, family travel. But she also has like single item booking. So sometimes she'll just book like a flight or a hotel or an excursion. So she has fees for that as well. But she does have that cancellation fee and rebooking fee in there, which I think is just really helpful because obviously it's just your own insurance to know like, oh, you're not losing out on money. And you can choose to waive it if you need sometimes.
Exactly. I was going to say that exact thing because a question just came in of, hey, I'm new to the industry. I'm kind of unsure about fees. Should I charge a cancellation fee? I have a client that just canceled their trip and in effect canceled my $250 commission. And to me, my answer is yes. You should charge a cancellation fee of some sort in some capacity for that specific reason. And to what Stephanie just mentioned, you can always choose to waive it. For example, maybe your client, the reason that they canceled is because literally they had a family member pass away. Not unheard of. That unfortunately happens in the world. Well, of course you might want to waive your fee in that case because you don't want to come across charging a fee because their family member passed away. Like you should have the option to waive those things. But if you're not charging a fee, you can't waive anything. So to echo Stephanie, you always have the option to waive.
So actually, we heard straight from the source. Carrie's on here. Carrie, yep. And she said, I absolutely waive it if the situation warrants it, yep. Of course. Yep. So yes, and thank you again, Carrie, for sharing all of this. And I also want to say, Claire said, this is not spelled incorrectly for Canadians. Boom. Yes. Love it. I'll keep it then, just so it's for both US and Canada.
You are 100% correct. North of the US border.
Love it. Okay, so these next two, I have two final examples, and these ones are a little out there, but I love showing them because this one, has anybody been seeing this? I think it's so interesting. So these might not be used if you're just starting out, but these are really good examples of how you can craft your services for clients to help manage your time and business. So for example, Ralph here, he started after the pandemic. He's like, oh my gosh, I'm just not really happy I'm spending so much time doing something I'm not really loving. So I want to change the way my business is approached. So he does a subscription fee. And so basically, he has 50 spots available. And then, he has a wait list. So when one spot opens, another person can get in, and it's $5,000 a year. However, he still does have some boundaries where you're going to get 20 hours of his time. If you go over 20 hours, the client will be billed, as needed. So I really like this because it's really simple, but it's really protecting that time as well. And so then it is also important to note that he does like outside travel. Like he'll do escorted group trips where he doesn't have like a subscription fee. But if you want his time and his expertise, you will have to be on a subscription or he just won't be able to have the time to work with you. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, for several reasons. You might also think about maybe you don't want to reorient your entire business model around a subscription model, but you might have a certain tier of clients that would like some type of model like this, that they're empty nesters, they have a lot of discretionary income, they're traveling all the time, and that you actually want to set up a subscription or a monthly retainer fee of some sort, you can call it what you want, but that you could rack up 5-10 clients that just want to pay you $500 a month so that they can reach out to you when they have questions or needs or things like that, whatever that might be. But that can be pretty incredible, because when you think about the recurring revenue for your business and that you have that layer of stability all the way through, it's great. So this is just one model. You can start to shift it around and mold it to what works best for you, and you don't have to shift all of your clients over to that model either.
Exactly. Yeah. And Jackie had asked, does Ralph's fee include 20 hours per trip or 20 hours per year? That's per year. So, and then, and Debbie, thank you for doing the math on this, was $250 an hour, which is awesome. So that's another way to look at it is what is your hours worth? And then you can say like, okay, well, I would give 20 hours and, maybe it's not $250 an hour, but it's $100 an hour or something, or maybe 300, even more. So great way to just figure out how you can break that down. And then this next one's also, so Tiffany shared this. So she doesn't call it a subscription model. It's more like an annual fee. And the reason why is because she works with a lot of high net worth individuals or corporate clients. So this is a really interesting approach to create services for if you have like executive travel or corporate clientele. We meet a lot of people sometimes where they're like, I have 5 clients, and I do all their travel. And so her fee will range anywhere from, $2,500 to $6,000 per year, depending on what type of client it is. But then again, that just opens it up. So you have fewer clients, but you're specifically helping those clients. So I like sharing that.
Tons of really good examples in there. Oh, I cut you off. You've got a bonus in there. I forgot about the bonus.
The bonus comes at the end.
Oh, okay.
So I have that. Yep. So everyone,
I wasn't
get ready.
Jumping the gun.
He got so excited.
Just want to circle back to the disclaimer here before I put on my inner Ted Lasso. Yeah. But talk to your host. Talk to an attorney that specializes in travel law. Jump in the Travefy Facebook group. We'll give a shout out here at the end and post a link in there, because I've seen a ton of advisors that are incredible in sharing their expertise, sharing what they've learned with other agents that are newer and are looking to try to make sure that they're following the rules of the road, so to speak, within the industry with that. But now, I was thinking about literally going out to a Halloween store and getting a Ted Lasso costume for this.
Oh, you should have.
But honestly, we've got 3 little kids at home, and I haven't even had the 45 minutes to go out to the store to buy a stupid Ted Lasso mustache and a whistle and a visor. And Ted Lasso has way more hair than I do. So anyways, in thinking about if you've never charged a fee before, you might have more than a slight amount of hesitation to even some significant trepidation of talking about fees with your clients. And so what I wanted to do here is just offer a little coaching around fees to make it easier. And so even here at Travefy, when we onboard new members of the sales team, We just talk about repetition, repetition, repetition. Get really comfortable with what you're selling and what you're talking about, and talking about pricing, cancellation, all of that. It's just business. We got to be able to talk about it. And so here are some basic things, basic tips and frameworks to help you be more comfortable in talking about fees. So firstly, in here, we'll go to the next one.
Oh, sorry.
Yep. Nope. Perfect. So firstly, one of the most important, make it a part of your process. Do not go on a whim and wing it and things like that, like you see some people do, talking about different topics. Rehearse it. Fit it into your process. Know exactly when you introduce it, when you're talking about it, how to introduce it, all of that. Make it a part of your process. I can't stress that enough. Clients will pick up on if you're not sure when you're supposed to charge your fee, and they'll not feel super confident in that. Next, get comfortable talking about fees. Do not feel embarrassed. Literally do the Saturday Night Live thing where, doggone it, I'm good enough, and sit in front of the mirror and repeat it 20 times. Figure out what I would call a spiel, that 10-second, 15-second sentence about fees, of what you charge and why, and the benefits and the value of it, and memorize it, know it. Literally, while you're driving the car, rehearse your fee spiel, get really, really comfortable with it, because then you're not worried about how's this, like, what do I say? What do I say? You just say your thing and you call it good. So, talk with your friends, your family, your spouse, and do your pitch with them. If you're feeling really uncomfortable about it, rehearse your pitch. Do it with other people. Let them give you feedback so that you feel really comfortable. And then when it comes time to talking to clients about your fee, you're not nervous about it. You know exactly what you're going to say, and you can just do it, and then focus more on being sensitive and listening to your clients and understanding them along the way. Now, next, this is another key area. You can always discount or waive your fees. Now, do you want to make this, happen all the time? No, because that defeats the purpose of fees. But also know you can always do that. So for example, maybe you're a newer advisor and you don't feel super comfortable in charging a fee. Well, start out with charging a $100 fee, but for your first 5 clients that you work with, you tell them, hey, Stephanie, I would love to work on this trip with you. I think it would be really incredible to work with you. I would love to earn your business. And so in that effort, I want to go ahead and charge or discount my $100 planning fee to $50 for you, because I would love to earn your business. Does that sound good to you? I would love to get started on this today.
Yes.
So in doing that, you've communicated your value and set the bar. You charge a $100 fee, but you really want to earn their business, and you're gonna invest with them in that way. So being able to discount fees, waive fees all the time. We even chatted with an advisor that they charge a planning fee, but only for new clients. After you're in the door, they don't charge the fee. So that's another effective way to be able to handle that within there. But then lastly, incorporate a fee agreement into your process and into your client information forms. Super, super important. So someone mentioned in the chat or in the Q&A here, really important, you can't charge a fee if you don't disclose it. Absolutely. Transparency is so important with clients. So do not slide things in, just lay it out plain and simple in writing. For example, with Travefy, when you send a form and they fill it out, they can go back and look at that and get a receipt or a copy of that so that they know it, and you have a hard copy of it as well so that you can show them this is the form that you e-signed. It has everything spelled out right there. Now, to that end, what I'm going to do in the chat is Travefy actually has some templates of like a service fee agreement that you can look at and work from. You don't have to purchase Travefy to do this. You can take a look there. But I just threw a link to our library sharing gallery, and you can click into that. We have lots of different other content, things like that, but there is an option for forms at the top, and some really incredible advisors have shared samples of their forms that we've linked to on there. And so you can actually look at those, or if you have a Travefy account, you can copy those templates into your own Travefy account so you have something that you can work from. But again, make it a part of your process. Get really comfortable talking about fees. Rehearse it over and over again, even if you think it's silly. Rehearse it, rehearse it, rehearse it. Anyone that's done public speaking or talked about sensitive subjects will admit they've rehearsed it and gone through it more than a few times. You can always discount and waive fees. And lastly, use a service fee agreement template of some sort so that it's always consistent when it's a part of your process that way.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and also going off of, you always can like waive the fees and everything. One thing that we also wanted to show is just kind of some bonus unique ways of just unique fee ideas that we've heard. So this is, I really like this because especially if you're getting new to fees and you're like, I don't know, and here's what you can do. There's a lot of options that you can do. You can, discount and waive. So exactly what Scott was saying, especially for repeat clients, it just kind of throws them a bone. It's really great. Another thing that I thought was really cool that we have heard is that some agents will actually donate part of the fee to charity. So it depends. It could be, like a charity a month or something, or teachers, first responders. I think that's pretty cool too. It gives you giving back basically. And then another one that's really cool is just using that fee to surprise and delight your clients on the trip. So, maybe you purchased a champagne and some a snack or something in the hotel room when they arrive, and that's giving back part of that fee to them. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can look at it, which is really cool.
Yeah, and think creatively.
Mm-hmm.
Fees don't have to just be about how can I make a few more bucks? How can I make a few more dollars? That's helpful. It's business. Totally get it. But it doesn't have to just be that. So in that last example, well, let me back up. Donating to charity, you could also discount and waive your fees for former military and veterans, single moms, police, firefighters, first responders, whatever the demographic or group is that you want to do that for, do that. That's great. And don't be afraid to communicate that and market that. That's an important selling point of working with your business. But also on that last point of surprising and delighting your clients, that we have chatted with agencies that actually use fees for two things. One, like that, to just take the trip from here to here with the clients, that they add in a layer, that they, like Stephanie mentioned, ordered some snacks for their room, or ordered a really amazing bottle of champagne or wine, or maybe they booked a really special dinner location at the resort for one night, something like that, that really just goes above and beyond for the clients. But also think about, you could use your planning fee, your service fee, towards marketing. That could pay for your Google ads. There's my TV
the screen
just
again.
went out again. You guys are seeing behind the curtain. But you can use that to your advantage to pay for marketing. That Google ads, Facebook ads, other types of marketing that work in your area, use it for that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there's so many ideas. I think this is so cool. This can just help you level up in there. But one of the last things that we want to say is we also know, and there actually is a question here that I want to help answer and put it on you, Scott, too, because you'll be able to really say, oh, there he is, he's back. But one thing that's really important, we've been saying this throughout, is definitely talk to either other agents, your host agency, whoever it is, get other ideas. Also, there's of course the legal side of everything. But one thing that we wanted to just push in here is we do have a Facebook group. And so this is actually a really great area. We have the Travefy official group. This is a good area that you should join this community. And if you have questions about fees, you want to see what other people are doing, great place to go, because we, at the end of the day, we can tell you what we have seen and what we've heard, but it also is really good to just ask the whole entire community.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, we've answered a lot of questions as we've gone through the webinar. We'll look back here and see if there are any that we missed that we can speak to. But please, please, please go over to the Facebook group and continue the conversation there. Because one of the things that we are absolutely humbled by is how many incredible travel advisors that just want to see the travel advisor industry grow and thrive, and they want to help out other advisors along the way. So go over to the Facebook group, keep the discussion going, throw out your questions there and see what other agents think about that. I saw one agent that had questions around Disney and, should I charge fees? Can I charge fees? Disney's a weird beast. I'll just be honest. Stephanie and I know a lot of stuff. We are not your travel legal attorney in this regard, by all means. So please, again, jump over to the Facebook group just to share expertise with others. Reach out to other to your agency or to your host, as well as reach out to an attorney that specializes in travel, just to get legal expertise that way as well. But hopefully this was beneficial. I had a lot of fun talking about fees. Stephanie, did you have fun talking about fees?
Totally. I just love sharing all the different examples, because I think it is so cool to see what agents do, because again, you are an expertise and a value that you cannot get if I were just to go book something on my own. So you have to harness that. And so it's really cool to just see how people utilize that. So I think it's really cool. And there's a lot of questions in here too that I would definitely recommend taking to the Facebook group, because I would be curious. We're going to be following along as well, just seeing, like, what are people doing? How do you handle things? So really cool. This has been fun.
Yeah, this has been a blast. So thank you everyone for joining in. Do not miss the webinar with Vanessa McGovern here in not too long, and jump on trivia happy hour here in a few later this afternoon. It's going to be a blast. Stephanie, first, before we wrap up, I want everyone to give Stephanie a round of applause.
Oh,
because
wow.
Stephanie has this sales workshop is months and months in planning and work to bring you and curate for you some of the best, brightest minds and interesting perspectives, lots of great tips and education along the way. Stephanie's done a phenomenal job, so I just want to give her an absolute shout out and a thank you from Team Travefy.
Oh, well, thank you. And also, here's what I'm going to ask too, is people give us your feedback on what you want to see, because we've been doing this now for 3 years, which is crazy. And we're always just wanting to level it up and give you what makes sense, what's trending, and do we need to dig deep into a certain topic that we don't really address? Let us know, because that's really going to help us just keep getting all that content that you want to see. So really, really awesome. But I also just want to say thank you for joining us. I mean, once again, it's just so cool. And I know we still have 2 more sessions left today, but it's just so awesome to see. And especially when it's such a busy time and travel is just crazy in a very good way. But this is awesome. So thank you. And thank you, Scott, for sharing your sales expertise.
Oh, I'm always happy to just talk.
Yeah, we love it. We like just chatting.
Yep. No, this has been fun. This has been a lot of fun. So thank you, everyone. Head over to the Facebook group. You have the link in the chat. Head over to the Facebook group, ask questions, keep the discussion going, and we'll see you at the next sessions.
Woo, see you guys.